Good morning! Welcome to Spirituality Gone Wild. I am Debbie G. It's time for Cuppa Grata. That's with a shot of expression and two squirts of reality. And this morning I have an incredible co-squirt. We always have incredible co-squirts, but this one is super fun because I actually got to experience what we're going to be talking about today. And this is a wonderful, incredible young lady that was brought to me by a friend, and she's an energy practitioner. And the thing about it is I've worked with a lot of energy healers throughout the time, but this particular person has a unique technique that I haven't experienced before, which I found really super exciting. And one of my favorite things about it was just the fact that over the last few days, I have been feeling a bigger sense of calm. Um, I'm I've been noticing that I'm able to step into my observant space faster and a whole lot of other things, but we're going to talk about that. Everything that I've experienced, everything that she has been able to bring to us through this amazing, amazing modality. She does what's called empowering rapid transformation. It's an accelerated healing formula, and we're going to explore all of the depths of what that means. That means we're going to get into how to clear trauma and those kind of great things. So welcome to Spirituality Gone Wild, Karen Vizer. Welcome, Karen.
Oh, thank you, Debbie. I'm so happy to be here. And thank you so much for inviting me. And I just appreciate how much what you're doing on this planet and the work that you're doing. So I'm so happy to have a chance to talk with you and have this conversation.
Wow, thank you. I'm excited about what you do. I've got truth chills just being here in your energy. Let's just dive right in. Let's talk about a little bit about you, and how that you got into this work, and then let's talk about this really incredible work you do.
Okay, that's a great place to start. I have a nursing degree and a chiropractic degree, but I never really wanted to do either of those things. I was always, as a child, I was very in tune, I guess, very spiritual. And I didn't know it. I just felt things. And so my parents would use me as a monitor about whether they should buy something, especially if it was a large purchase. If I didn't like the salesman, they walked out on all large purchases. And I remember when I was about 9, I was laying on the lawn just kind of looking at blades of grass, and I had this image that we were all cells in the body of God, like blades of grass were blades of grass on the lawn. And I went and told my parents, and they were like, "Oh, that's nice, dear." And so
No,
fast
that's not.
yeah, it's
That's
like,
nice.
they're just like, "Oh, there she goes again." But my dad's mom was extraordinarily psychic and an amazing woman. So uh, I during high school I was very disturbed. I just didn't fit in anywhere, and I was studying astral projection. I was astral projecting. I was doing a lot of different sorts of things. I studied astrology with Isabel Hickey, who was one of the premier astrologers back at that time. And I would just do a lot of, I'd be doing meditation and visioning exercises and things like that. And I had no idea really where this was all going. So anyway, the nursing degree was about to fit in. It didn't work very well. And the chiropractic degree was that I was liked chiropractic. I always thought it was great. I used chiropractic. That was really learning that I didn't need to chase every shiny thing that was offered to me, because that's one of the ways that I've found that our egos and to keep us from being excellent. That is, go over here, what about this, what about that? So I have chased a lot of shiny things during my lifetime, but I've also chased some things that were really, really beneficial. I studied radionics, studied energy medicine. I studied, actually, radionics was in Oxford at the Delaware Labs, which is one of the oldest radionics labs, and they had radionic machines. And at the time, this was pre AIDS, and right about the time AIDS was being discovered, but they were using blood spots. So, and that was a witness. So if somebody sent a blood spot in on filter paper, they would then put it on the radionic equipment and use the frequencies to send healing frequencies. And that made so much sense to me because I knew intuitively that everything was energy. And so I've experienced a lot of things. I've been blessed with a lot of wonderful mentors and different people who knew different techniques who shared them with me. And over the course of time, I decided that I wanted to be a coach. And I started mentoring with a man named Thomas Leonard, who was the father of the coaching movement. And Thomas was a great mentor. He had written a book called The Portable Coach. And it highlighted 28 principles of attraction. Now, this was long before anyone was really talking about law of attraction. And I had always been very in tune with and attracted to turn of the century authors that were New Thought authors. And so that kind of his book sort of fit right in. And I decided I was going to mentor with him. And I went to corporate Coach University. I was a co-founder of Coachville, one of the original founders of that, which was a coaching portal. And Thomas taught a lot of great things. One of the things he taught were about needs and how needs drive behavior. And what I've found is that that's so true. And so many of us have that old conditioning and programming from our childhood. And we can talk a little bit more about that. But at the time Thomas was alive, he did not really have a good solution for needs other than knowing what they were so that you could inform your circle of influence what your needs were, and they would identify when your needs weren't being met for you. And I thought that was kind of convoluted, and I knew two things. I knew that I wouldn't do it, and if I wouldn't do it, my clients wouldn't do it. And I knew that source, God, consciousness, spirit, whatever you want to call that, brilliance that we all live with and is part of all of us, would never create a problem without a solution. So that sent me on a journey of finding solutions for that. And my late husband had the need to be perfect. We had a lot of drama around that in our household because Americans are programmed to think perfect's not possible. He was Hungarian. And he knew that he got it from his mother. He recognized it, but he couldn't shift it. He could not consciously override it. So we came to peace about that. But after he died, I would meditate and say, there's got to be a solution. And that led me to bioresonance equipment that was being used in Germany for disease to neutralize the frequency of disease. And I thought, well, thoughts are things. And most likely disease is caused by thoughts. And if it can neutralize that, let's go back to the source. And so I started experimenting with that and working with some people, learning about shifting energy using these bioresonance devices. And I had several of them and I was very attached to them. And one day I went up to meet a quantum physicist at a place that was then called the Mental Physics Institute in Joshua Tree. It's now the Spiritual Center there. And I met this quantum physicist there, and I took my equipment up, and I was very happy to show him what I was doing and how we were shifting energy and changing lives and around beliefs and conditioning and programming. And he looked at me and he goes, "You don't need that thing. You're every bit as good as that thing. You just need to find the fear. All fear is fear of change. It differentiates into three major categories, which is fear of abandonment or separation, fear of not being good enough, and a fear of the unknown." And he said, if you can find that, you can help your clients with any problems they have. So that was a big clue for me, but I didn't believe him about the device. So I went back to my life and I'm using the device, and I was at that time teaching in London, training other people to work with that device, training coaches to use this and to shift energy of limitations. And I was working with a client one day in my living room because everything had to be done in person because there were machines and equipment. And I felt the energy change. I used muscle testing to confirm that. And I reached over to turn the machine off and realized I had not turned it on. So that led me down another rabbit hole where I invited 3 of my clients to work with me and to work with me at no charge for 90 days. And at that time, the work we were doing was just so, it was beautiful and it was pure and it was sacred service. But what we're doing today is so much bigger and so much faster and so much more efficient and so much more fun. So that's kind of the Cliff Notes version of how I got here.
And I love this Cliff Notes version because it also is, I mean, look, we've just covered a lot, a lot. I want to take a step back really quickly. I want to talk about two things. One is attachment. Attachment's been coming up a lot in conversations this week with those of us that have been doing this work a long time. The attachments that we have to things, how that looks, and how that we're processing that. But the other thing was the principles that the 12 principles of coaching.
The 28 principles of attraction.
28
And
principles of attraction.
It was called The Portable Coach was the title of that book.
The portable coach. I have a feel. I recall that when I first talked to you, that you had mentioned that. Can you tell me what was one of your favorite of those 28? What was one of your favorite pieces that you took away from that you really implemented in your life that you're using today?
That's a great question. And I would have to say there was so much in that, but I would have to say the awareness of needs I use every day with my clients and with myself if I get triggered for something. But the thing I think that had the most value for me was what Thomas taught was that your values pull you forward. Needs drive behavior. So like the person who needs to be heard, they repeat themselves over and over and over again. In the case of my late husband, he needed to be perfect. And he was like a little feng shui person. He had this amazing vision, and he could walk into a place and move something a quarter of an inch in any direction and totally change the energy of the place. So perfection was really important to him, and it was difficult for him to let it go. So that was important for me in terms of the scope of the work I do today. But the other piece that was so important is that values pull you forward. Values are what get you out of bed in the morning. If you don't value what you're doing, you're not going to show up for it. And then if you want to take that further, shared values are super important when you're working in collaboration with people, when you're considering taking a job. What are the values of that organization? I learned that the hard way. I took a job in healthcare years ago with a company that did not have shared values, but made promises. And it led to a dark night of the soul. And I'm very grateful now because that just further enhanced my awareness, if you will, of values and how important they are.
That's beautiful. I actually am appreciating this so very much because in compassionate communication, we really look at our values and our needs. And, Karen, that was the one thing that I'm still working on are my needs and my values, my needs and my values, and my needs and my values. It's like a constant thing that I look and I do a self-check with because this is part of my self-love routine or practice. But I'm going to tell you, when it came up to needs and values back 5 years ago, like I didn't have a clue. I'm like, my what? I knew what your needs were. I knew what your needs were. I could tell you what your needs were. I could tell everybody what their needs were. You need this. You need that. This was such an important learning tool for me to realize that I actually had something called needs and values, and I didn't know what they were. So if anybody's listening and you were like I was, I have some charts on your needs and your values that you can message me and I'll get them to you. But there's also some other important factors on how to shift this, and Karen's going to talk and teach about that. I also want to talk really quickly, though, attachment. You were doing the energy work. You saw that you were relying on this apparatus,
right,
this machine to do the clearing and whatnot. And then somebody implanted in you that, hey, you can actually do this yourself. And then you took it to the next level and said, wait a minute, if this is so true, then possibly this is true, that our thoughts are where it originates. And you went right for the gusto. But how does attachment, how did attachment or releasing attachment look like for you?
Well, I resisted. In the example of the apparatus, the devices I was using, I had $20,000 invested in them. I had four
Yeah.
of them. I had to pack a separate suitcase whenever I traveled to London or Canada or Hawaii to do programs and workshops. We had to we'd share a machine with like 3 or 4 people and have to clean the things they would hold on to in between people. And so I had this system. It was all set up. I had a belief structure that this is what I needed to do my work. And when this quantum physicist said to me, you don't need that, I didn't believe him because I was super attached to what I knew. And that's what the ego does. The ego wants you to stay in the comfort and familiarity of what's known. But what I know is that everything in nature is either growing or declining. So if you're trying to stay the same, and that's one of the ways we choose unconsciously, is this idea that I just need to maintain this status quo, I can't rock the boat, somebody might not like it, but nothing stays the same. If you look at a tree in nature today and you look at that tree in a year, it will have either grown or declined. And that's our job too, is to grow, to choose to grow. So I think attachments are a very effective way that the ego keeps us playing the same game that we're playing and keeps us playing small. And I don't mean to vilify the ego, but when you have awareness that part of you would just like to hibernate for a year, that's not going to serve you.
Oh, darn it. Really?
Yeah, yeah. Trust
Shit.
me, I've tried it.
I tried too. It just
Yeah, so
darn. Yeah.
And so with that, so I was absolutely attached to my way of doing my coaching programs, my trainings, my energy work. And when I went to shut the machine off that day and realized that I hadn't turned it on and that he was right and that I could shift energy, that opened a whole new, that was like an aha moment, because now I can sell these machines. I don't need a second suitcase. I can go back to traveling with carry-on only. I can go around the world. I can work remotely. I can shift energy remotely. I no longer need somebody in my living room or somebody to buy a machine and have it in their living room while they're talking with me on the phone. And so that just opened all kinds of new possibilities for me. And then, and I did that for a long time. And then in around 2008, everything just started changing for a lot of people, and it did for me as well. And I was tired of having a website. I was tired of having just the whole thing. I was doing these teleclasses and I had virtual assistants and I had all these platforms I was paying for. And I just got to the point that I didn't want to do it anymore. And I had a blog and on my website, and it got hacked. And no matter what the webmasters did, they couldn't get the warnings off Google. And I just said, screw it, I'm done. And I will continue to do this work. I just told Source I will continue to do this work because it's sacred work and I love it, but I'm not marketing it. It will be word of mouth. And so I went off and learned social media and did social media marketing for restaurants and hospitality industry for a couple of years. And I got tired of that and started doing a few other things. And, but now I'm loving what I'm doing. I'm loving helping people. And we're changing the planet with this work. And I love that.
I do too. And I'm appreciating everything that you're bringing, because you see, you've already walked through the steps of what it's like to release attachment. What I'm really digging here is that when you release the attachment, all the things that went opened up. So when you hold on so tight, you're restricting the beauty that can come out of releasing the attachment to whatever it is that you're holding on to. And I actually had this conversation with Daniel Gutierrez, who owns Catalinas in Peru, a couple days ago, this gorgeous retreat center. And he was talking about, he sold everything, Karen. He just went like Dr. Wayne Dyer did. He
Yeah.
talked about that. And right before he wrote the Tao, he wrote, there's this book he wrote about the Tao.
Right.
Right before he did that, he sold everything. He released everything. And I was sharing that I went through a phase where I've lost everything a couple times, but this last time was everything completely 100%. And I went, wow. So it was this huge space of acceptance to open it up and allow what was getting ready to come, because releasing attachments, it seems it's the most important thing right now, I think, in the work that we're doing. um, that at least that in my world today, right now, anything I'm attached to, it's brought to my awareness so that I can review it and release it because it's not serving. So speaking of releasing, now we're going to get into what it is that you do, because I think what you're most well known for is your trauma work, your ability to get in there and help people to release trauma that's stuck in their energetic bodies, that's actually causing illness as well as other things. Now I want to say, we're not saying we're curing illness.
No,
We're saying that
we're saying
yeah,
everything is
yeah,
energy and all energy can be transformed.
that's what we're
And
saying.
that's a quote
She's
from one
saying.
of my favorite mentors, Raymond Grace, who's just an amazing dowser. He's in West Virginia, I believe, and his pendulum is a bullet, and he's quite a character. And I have just learned so much from him. So let's just call it everything is energy.
Everything is energy. Everything is energy. And I really need to meet this guy with the pendulum that's a bullet, because he sounds like a spitfire. And I mean, that just sounds just too much like too much fun. So what I would like to know, how can we help people today with some simple tool or technique to help them maybe move their own energy, and talk about this process and then let's take a deeper dive into what a session looked like with you, and we'll talk about mine.
Okay. So I think that the really important, one of the big things, I have another mentor that I want to give a shout out to, is a man named Mike Kempsky. And what Mike taught me, and he's got a book, I don't remember the name of it, but if anyone wants that, reach out to me and I can get it for you. He taught me that to pay attention to contrast. And I think what most people do is they focus on what they don't want instead of focusing on what they do want. And um, law of attraction has a lot of sub there's more than one law. It's not just law of attraction. There's law of correspondence, law of circulation. There are all these universal laws that operate no matter what we do. And so I think contrast can be a great gift, because if you're sitting there and you're mired in what you don't want, that's negativity. And I'll speak more about that in a minute. But if you're focused on what you don't want, you're actually placing an order at the cosmic restaurant for what you don't want. So if you could write that down and then flip it and focus on what you do want, and notice that contrast. And when you go and you have an experience and it's not the most optimal experience, you can be the observer instead of the judger. And so instead of going off and getting triggered and going, oh, that was really horrible, and, off and down that rabbit hole, why not instead go, gee, that really didn't go in the way that would have been most pleasurable or most delightful for me. What would have been better? And then focus on what you want, focus on the contrast. And so I think contrast can be very useful for people.
I love that. So today, you guys, this is going to be that's your job. Your job is, when the contrast comes up, to look at it and then reverse it. What would you like? What would you like? Rather than focusing on, and I can use this right now in my own life today, this very minute,
Yeah,
because I
it's
woke
very
up.
useful.
Yeah, Karen, I woke up this morning like I had to take some steps today, but as I'm listening to, it's like, am I focusing on what I don't want? If I'm in a situation, I've created it, and I've created it for my good so that I can see what needs to be shifted or changed. And I
Right.
have an experience today. It doesn't matter the experience. It doesn't matter what I'm talking about. It only matters about the energetic vibration that I'm holding and what I'm giving it. Am I on point there?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And if you create your reality, then you created it. So you can discreate it and create something else.
Hot diggity damn.
I mean, how easy is that?
All right,
But
guys, you hear this? Come on.
but
Come on.
but we over rely on our intellect, and we have been programmed and conditioned to do that.
Yeah.
And so we go into down this thing where we need to figure it out. We need to weigh the pros and cons, and we need to be in control, and we need to do it all, because if no one else will do it right, and we have all this garbage that is really just old garbage. It's old programming. And what if none of that is true?
What if it isn't true? And I love that you asked that question because it's my favorite question to ask. What if that isn't true?
Yeah.
And I think that that's
You
a
know why
second
that's a
tool
good
now.
one? Yeah.
Oh,
You
I
know why
want to,
that's
yeah.
a good one?
Why is that a good one?
Because the lizard brain, so we have, and this is the Cliff Notes version. It is not the scientific version, but this is the version of the explanation I use with my clients so that their mind doesn't go off during the session, because you have to be out of your mind to do this work. So basically, when you're the first 3.5 years of our life, we're governed by the lizard brain, which is what marketers market to. That's where fear of missing out lives. Lizard brain is the reptilian brain. It's also called the amygdala. It's a real part of the brain. And that's all about survival. So that operational system does not have critical thought. So if your critical thought doesn't come in until you're 7, and by that time you've got 95% of your programming and conditioning already, from school, from church, from your parents, from society, from the culture, from print media, from television. It's all there. So you've already got 95% programmed, and you're on automatic pilot. You're not choosing consciously. So when worry comes up, worry is, again, placing an order for something you don't want at the cosmic restaurant. So when worry comes up and you hear that voice, what if I fail? If you just flip that and go, what if I succeed? That there's no critical thought there. That is the voice of the lizard brain, the reptilian brain. And so that's a very powerful tool that anyone can use today when they are struggling with limitations and negative thoughts and things like that. What if? What if it doesn't?
I think that combined with the shift is really, really good. And Mika's saying that it's so easy but so damn hard to reorient to what I want, doing and breathing hard every time.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding your question.
So basically, she's saying that it's really hard to actually to do that to do that shift, like when you're in it and it's serious, and like that you've got to shift your outlook, you've got to shift to what you do want, and she's saying it's hard to do, and that with breathing and all of this, it's just she's finding it difficult to shift.
Yeah, because most people go outside to try to shift it. They're out here looking around what's going on instead of going within. And it might feel gnarly because we have a lot of stuck energy in our bodies that's using up bandwidth and taking up space. And it has to do with the fact that we've never been taught properly how to feel and sense. And so as a result of that, we're pushing away overwhelm, and we've got a collection of stuff that we haven't dealt with in our lifetime. And that's one of the things I teach my clients to do. If you can close your eyes and allow yourself to stay present in your body, noticing the energy that you're sensing and just observing it. You're not trying to make it go away. You're not trying to figure out where it came from. You're not trying to do anything with it. You're not trying to who cursed me with this. It doesn't, none of that stuff matters. That's just all the mind going off on you. If you could just look at it and be an observer, like you're looking at a flower you've never seen before. The law says energy flows where attention goes. You don't look at it to make it go away. But the truth of what happens is you're utilizing universal law. And by observing it and giving it the attention that it didn't get when it occurred, and giving it that attention now in the present moment, that energy will move.
Beautiful. I hope that helps you, Mika, because that right there is it in a nutshell. It is a real practice too. So start practice with the things that are little before the big things hit, so you can really get yourselves locked into all these little practices. You are a life scientist. We're creating alchemy here. Taking the
Exactly.
right I mean, come on,
Yeah.
we're going to take that lead of the
We're magic
ego.
makers.
Yeah. Woo! We are magic makers. Seriously, we create that. And this is what I love about an experience with you is because, okay, so first of all, I feel that Karen, I feel you're here to really help the healers heal because I do healing work. I've been doing energy work for years. However, it's like I need sessions with you because that's just how this is. Like learning to we all learn from each other on how to move that energy and whatnot. And sometimes it takes somebody else to work with you in order to just relax into that process to allow yourself to go through the healing work, you know? And so I've heard you also mention a couple of things, and one was dowsing. So let's talk about dowsing. A lot of people may not know what dowsing is, and also you use muscle testing. So let's talk about those two things and how that you use
Okay.
them to clear. Yeah, because you use them for clarity in your work and the process. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, the dowsing I learned years ago, and it's radionics, dowsing are all very similar, and you can use pendulums for a lot of things. So my pendulum, the string on it broke, so I can show it to you if you'd like. I'd have to step away and come back. I don't have it right here, but I have about 4 different pendulums I use. And I use pendulums for specific things that Raymond Grace taught me to do. And I can use them to shift the energy, and I can use them instead of muscle testing. But what I find is that I prefer the muscle testing for the navigation because it's very efficient and very fast. And then I prefer the pendulum for shifting things like identifications and archetypes. So we can talk a little bit about what those are. They're basically the labels that you or society put on you that create a place within a structure that you operate within. So it's almost like a limitation. It's an attachment and a limitation. And so when we remove those constructs, there's more space to be you and to experience more. For example, if someone has an archetype of vaccine injured, then it's going to be difficult to address that vaccine injury and neutralize the non-beneficial effects of that vaccination if they're holding on to that identification or that archetype, because you can either be a victim or you can't, but you can't clear that and be a victim of vaccine. Does that make sense?
It makes yeah, you're either a victim or you're not,
Right,
and
exactly.
you can't be both. You can't be clear and yeah, that just well
Yeah.
yeah, they're
So
the
we
total opposite.
neutralize
Mhm.
the energy of that. We also neutralize vows. Vows are things that you said to yourself you're never going to do again. I use the
Mm.
pendulum to, and there's a lot of those. And also, if someone was married and they had a marriage vow, they may still have that vow operating even though they're no longer married to that person. So vows, and I find some people have vows from past lifetimes or other timelines, vows of poverty, vows of silence. So we can neutralize those very quickly and very easily with a pendulum. It also curses, hexes, spells. I don't do a lot of that, but sometimes that comes up. That's something that works very well with a pendulum. Raymond taught me that. So there's some other things we do very specifically. I also amplify energy with a pendulum. So for example, I was working with a young woman yesterday, and she just really wanted to be calm and relaxed, and she had so much anxiety. And at the end of her session, I use the pendulum to amplify the her own cellular awareness of the relaxation and calmness and quiet that was in her body. So we like to end the sessions by amplifying the energy that is congruent with what the client wants.
Beautiful.
So, so that's
Mm.
the pendulum. The muscle testing is really for a different reason, and it's for navigating the session, and it makes the sessions very efficient. For example, many of my clients work with me for only a 5-session package, and then they're good to go. Some of them come back Like I have a couple clients that are just keep me on retainer, and they reach out when they need something. And usually it's when they're scaling. Like I have a client that is in a nonprofit, and when they're scaling and they're up to something bigger, she'll reach out to make sure she has no limitations in that journey. And every once in a while, somebody hits a wall or gets triggered. And so I have clients that I've worked with off and on for probably 15, 20 years in some capacity, who come back because the work works, and who refer their children as well. So the muscle testing, everything's energy and we're all connected, we're all one. So with a client's permission, I can muscle test on their behalf. And I do that. I can do that with my hands. So this is yes, straight finger, and this is a no. I could do it like this, yes, no. If someone was in person, I could have them hold their arm out and ask them to meet my pressure. And basically what happens is when you resonate with something, when you resonate with an idea, when you're in agreement with it, your body will get very strong. And so I'll get the strong response. We call that the yes. And when you don't resonate with something, the body gets weak. So this process, this accelerated healing formula, is unlike anything else because it's not prescriptive. I don't sit there and say, okay, I'm working with Debbie today, and Debbie needs, like you were saying earlier, knowing what everyone needs. I don't do that. I'm out of my mind. I'm not trying to figure out what anyone needs. I'm saying to the client, what do you want the outcome of your session to be today? And then navigating to that outcome. And the first navigational question, if I'm muscle testing on their behalf remotely for them, is this the optimal area of focus? And if I get a yes, we go there. And if I get a no, we talk and see what it is. And maybe it's a little different version, or maybe it's in a different doorway. So it makes the session very personal. No two sessions are ever the same, and it makes it very specific and very targeted.
I'm loving all of this. And also when I was going through the experience with you, you brought up hexes and curses of things. I mean, things that I'm not even aware of, and I was actually like, "Huh, that's kind of interesting." When you say that, can you put clarity to that you mean by that? Because I take it as people having negative thoughts about you. In the Toltec teachings, your word is magic. It can be black
Mm-hmm.
magic or it can be used for good.
Yes.
So I'm taking it as people speaking ill of you and that type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, if you wanted to put it in a general category, we would just call it negative thought forms. And so, did somebody consciously send witchcraft or, a curse at you? I don't know. I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
Did somebody say, oh my God, that person should, X, Y, I don't even want to say, I don't like saying negative things. It doesn't matter. Are there negative thought forms directed to you that were directed consciously or unconsciously? I don't even care if they're that. We can neutralize it because they're in your way.
Boom. So don't get tripped up on words, guys. And that's why I brought this up, because I know that the audience that we have is very into the woo woo to the wow wow. And when you hear certain things, like there's trigger word, well, what does that mean? Well, what if I have this? And it doesn't matter. You see, this is all just about that energy.
Who cursed me? I don't care who cursed you.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It's in the past. It's in the past. We don't need to go there. The only thing we have is this moment. And so in this moment, are you okay?
That's okay. So right there, you guys, you just got your third tool today. In this moment, are you okay? In this moment, right this very second, are you okay? Because that's all that matters. Just think about it. Just in this moment, are you okay? Think about it.
Yeah.
I want to say good morning to Nicholas Ashley, who is a client of yours, and actually the person who referred me
Nick.
to you. This
lovely to see you.
This is great. Karen is amazing. We are amazing. The energy is real, and what she's explaining and the practice of rewiring our program works. Even if you don't believe it, it works. Haha.
Thank you.
That's really, really super. Yeah, it's just
it makes my heart happy.
Right? I mean, it really does when you do this work and you get back that somebody's really feeling this beautiful shift and they're
Yeah,
seeing things, they're seeing the beauty within themselves.
exactly. And they're saying that they are whole and complete and perfect and they are not damaged and there's nothing wrong with them. They just took on a bunch of stuff that's not them and we need to unload it.
That simple,
Yeah.
guys.
Poof.
What a gratitude moment right now. I mean, seriously,
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
it feels
So do you
good.
want me to get my pendulum and show you one of my little pendulums or
Sure,
no?
I think they would. We're getting
I have to
asked.
step away for a minute, but
Well, we're
I'll be 5 seconds. I'll
she's
be
going to
right
be
back.
5 seconds, and while she is gone, I'm going to bring this up. If you'd like to book with Karen, you can do it right here. There's her phone number, or you can just go ahead and send her an email right here, floating right across the screen. This is how that you book with her, as well as either way, you can do it right here. She doesn't just answer the phone, so please just text.
Yeah, if I don't know who's calling, I will not answer it. You can leave a voicemail. So this is the first pendulum I ever got. I've had it for a very long time. I've had it since I was in chiropractic college. Can you see it?
Oh, I do.
It's gorgeous.
Mhm.
It's beechwood and it's on a silk string. And the string broke the other day when I was working with a client. The other part of it is here. So you can see it was quite a bit longer. It would have been like that. So I'm going to order another one. But this is the first one I ever got. And I can, let's see, I don't know how I can, this show everyone a yes. So do you see it swinging like this way?
Yeah.
Swinging like forward in front of me. Show everyone a no. Show everyone how you neutralize energy when I ask you to. And show everyone how we amplify energy. And you can see I'm not moving my hand at all. I'm just
Right.
like,
So it did a reverse spin
it's
for
a
the
clockwise, yeah, it's a clockwise
to,
spin for amplification. So that's the pendulum. I've got 4 of them. And the one that I use for most often with clients, this is one I travel with and I've got to replace it. But the one I use most often when I'm working with clients is my back to nature pendulum, which is 5.5 inches long. It's quite
okay.
amazing. And that one's birch wood.
I love
And
it. Now
that's on a leather string.
I have one, but mine is black it's a crystal.
Uh-huh.
So I'm noticing that you're using wood, birch wood. You have it instead. And is there a difference between the material that you're using?
Well, there are different schools of thought. Raymond uses a bullet on a
I just
metal
I'm
change.
sorry,
I
I
love it.
can't.
I
I
mean, I
love
love him.
this.
And
Oh my God. I need you, Raymond. You got to come on. I'm telling you.
yeah, you should interview
Yeah.
him. He's
Yeah.
a character. He taught me so much because he doesn't have limits and he doesn't have attachments. So when somebody says to Raymond, "Can you do anything about this?" He goes, "I don't know. Let's try." And he pulls out his you
My
know,
kind of guy,
I don't
man.
know.
That's it
And
right
so
there.
I love that. He taught me so
Yeah.
much in that way of just being open. I don't know, but let me try. And I'll tell you a quick little story. After I'd mentored some with Raymond and done some of his classes, I was at a family gathering, and one of the children that was there was not acting like themselves and had had a well baby visit, and I tested that there was it was the problem was vaccination, and so I um, pulled out my pendulum, known to many people, and neutralized the non-beneficial effects of the vaccination. And within about 12 hours, that kid was back to normal.
Wow. Okay.
And now I'm not
Okay.
saying that I cured anything. I'm not saying that I just utilized what Raymond taught me and it made a difference. Now, and then I amplified positive healing, nurturing, soothing energies for that child. So I don't know, you know,
I, I,
I don't need to know.
we don't need to know. We just do. And there's a knowingness that comes though with this work. And
Yes. Yeah. It's a
tech
different
and
kind of knowing. It's from
everybody
him.
has Yes, yes, it's definitely from here. And everybody has the ability to tap into this. And
Hmm.
I'm looking forward to you teaching this because that was one of the conversations that we had is that in the future, what we can look forward to, and I'm raising my hand, I'm already in line
Yeah.
yeah, I am all about learning new modalities, learning expanded ways to use our gifts, and we all have them. So I know that you're going to be offering this soon.
Yes, I'm offering the first training class. I've trained in certain aspects of this years ago, but this is different. I will be teaching the accelerated healing formula. The first class will start, I believe, we're looking at the 16th of December. There will be 8 1 hour approximately classes that will take people through a basic level. And the beauty of this is it works with anything. So if somebody is a Reiki person, they can use the accelerated healing formula to amplify what they're doing. If someone is a naturopath, they can use it to support their clients in being able to be in alignment with whatever is best for them. And so I love it for that reason. So we'll be 8 1 hour classes. And about 3/4 of the way through, we're going to have a 90-minute class that will be me actually demonstrating a full-on session with someone. And everything's going to be on Zoom. There will be lifetime access and tons of notes and just content that people will need until they learn it, because you really have to learn what are the needs, until you get used to being open and letting the downloads come and just letting it flow in the testing process. So it's the first level, and I'm excited to do it. And I have already got, I think, 5 or 6 people on board for it. So I'm excited. We'll talk about it too, and because I'd love to have you do that. And I'm hoping we get some men to join as well, because I think that the divine masculine has been and the divine feminine have been seriously affected by a lot of the programming and conditioning. And I'd love to see some men doing this work, both for women and men. You know, I think
Yep,
it's
mhm.
I think it's necessary.
I think you're right, and I love that. We have a team of about 25 on Spirituality Gone Wild, and I'd say half are men doing this kind of doing different styles of this kind of work, actually doing energy work.
Uh-huh.
They're coming up. They're coming up by the Strohs. I tell you what, they're getting into it, and I'm loving it. I'm absolutely. And what I love, I've studied all types of. I'm certified in all types of modalities, and I'm ready for another one. I love this. It is my favorite thing to do. Not only that, but also receiving the energy work. I don't care how long I'm here on this planet. I'll always be looking to advance where I'm at, grow. We could always grow. It's one
Mm-hmm.
of the things that, a dear friend of mine who's no longer here, you can always grow. You could always inspire, encourage. These are things that we can always do. But growth is, like you said, you're growing or you're dying. Which do you want to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you're dying anyway, but you want to do it with fun?
Nothing's staying the same though, and that's the big
Nah,
illusion. Is that,
nothing.
oh, I don't want to wreck the boat. Got to keep it all the same.
Yeah, that's not going to happen ever,
No,
ever.
really.
Well, and so that's just it's that acceptance of that reality is really what it's coming down to, is accepting that you are divinely beautiful and perfect right where you sit, that you're not broken, that these types of healing modalities are here to help you learn how to actually tune up your energetic systems. Think of yourself like a computer. As she said earlier, you have stuff stuck in there, old programming, things like that, that's mucking up your hard drive. It's slowing you down, it's creating resistance, and I mean, you know how when you click on the computer and it goes,
That's
I'm
exactly
just
right.
here watching the wheels go round and
Just
round.
spinning my wheels.
Oh, I really love to watch them roll. Remember that John
Yeah,
Lennon song? Just love to watch. But actually, actually that song has a lot of meaning to it if you really go and listen to it. Thank you, John Lennon. But the
yeah.
point is that do you want to be that person where your wheels are spinning round and round and you're just watching it? You could go listen to the song and enjoy it at least while you're watching it. Or do you want to be that person that's growing and expanding, even when the growth in our physical being feels like it's being stretched, pulled, and ripped apart? But that's why you
Yeah.
need someone like Karen here to help you through that process, because it can be uncomfortable in your humanness
Hmm.
to let go of your ego. Let go of my ego.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you don't. Yeah, people. I energetically, I see this thing like, let go of my ego. Stop. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
screaming for it. But yeah, what you do is magical work, and I'm grateful that you're here on this planet
Thank you.
a thousand times over. So,
Thank
Nick,
you.
let's say hello really quickly. And you guys are such a great audience today. Yes, yes, Angel. It's just to clear and let it go.
Yeah,
I feel great in the moment.
exactly. Yeah, and it's if you think about it, that's all you have. So if you're worried about the past that you did something wrong or somebody's mad at you or something like that, then you're taking yourself out of that gift of this present moment that we have and out of that beauty. And if you're worrying, you're placing an order at the cosmic restaurant for what you don't want. And if you're worrying about the future, you're projecting a possible negative outcome onto the future. And we create our reality with our thoughts. So why would you want to do that? Just be in the moment. And if you're okay, own it.
I love this, and I think that this is a really good tool right now. Fear is rampant right now, as we know, out there in this
Yeah.
universe, in this world, not universe, but in the world, in the human world. And the big C word, the C word's now shifted from
Yeah.
that we got two C
Yeah.
words,
There's two
but
C words.
two C words. But it creates, there's the fear momentum, as we see. So be that chooses to diffuse the fear momentum by using some of the tools that were given to you here today. Some really powerful ones. And this last one that you were just left with was huge, and that is stay in the present moment. And
Turn off your TV. Turn
please,
off your TV. It's programming.
yes, unless you're going to turn it on for spirituality gone wild, then
Right.
we're on.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
then you can do that. It's
We
on.
have that
Yeah,
exception.
yeah. We have one exception. We're it. Just saying.
Right.
um, let's see. And then Melanie says, if I find anything, if cleared and set to the right intention, you can use anything that swings, meaning the pendulum.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Yeah. I've used my finger as a pendulum before when I was somewhere that I didn't have a pendulum. You
okay,
can
here we go.
just,
And Nick, I'm laughing. I read the comment before I brought
what
it
they
up.
say?
He says, hi, Deb. I'm incredibly grateful for Karen's gift. She almost made me vomit twice.
I love that. I love it when my clients say they're, because I know we're getting deep into the trauma and we're taking it off layer by layer easily and effortlessly. So it doesn't, you don't go into shock and a healing crisis. You don't need that.
I love
You're,
this. You're
what
both
else do
blessed.
you
Thank
say?
you. You're both blessed. Thank you for the show, and I do know you're amazing. Thank you. So
Thank you.
I think that you're making a big difference for him, and I appreciate you showing up. And remember, you guys, you just go right here to book with Karen, and you just text and or email. So Mika says, yes, no TV. I began drawing instead. It's so creative, and I
Oh,
love
nice.
that outlet is beautiful. The creative outlet, and part of the when you go through these types of energetic processes with someone like Karen, what you're able to do is then open up your sacral chakra, open up the energy centers that are your creative points. Your sensuality, your pleasure points, and all those things are your actual creative spots. I mean, there's another whole that's a whole other show and another conversation, but still,
Right.
but just go with that, and please just keep doing it, whatever feels good, and then share what it is that you're doing with somebody else. Share with them
Yeah.
the keep showing others how to show up, you see, because if you're just like being that, and you don't even need to say anything, just do it and say, oh my gosh, I just did this incredible painting, it was awesome. Oh, I didn't know you painted. Well, it's just something I decided to tap into with everything going on. I decided to get back into the things that make me happy, you know? And that could be something very simple. If you loved building Legos, go buy some Legos, build some Legos, do a puzzle, do whatever it is that sparks that gratitude moment in your life. In fact, we're going to as we come up to the hour here, we're going to end this with gratefulness. And the state of there's being grateful for something, and then there's the state of gratefulness, the beingness of gratefulness. And that's a much
Mm-hmm.
different space to be in. And that usually has to do with the who's in your life. So, who, Karen, in your life right now that you can think of that are you grateful for along this journey?
I mean, for my clients, for them to try and let me take them to that sacred space and do this work. Incredibly grateful to Raymond Grace for everything he's taught me. Joe Dispenza has done some amazing work. His book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, was just
So
such a game changer for me. And it's really, the meditation that went with it was huge. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Mike Kempsky, another great mentor of mine. My friends and family, and my friend Jennifer and my friend Melissa, who are doing we're living our life as though there is no C word, and enjoying our life in that way. And there's one other part of gratitude, I think, that is appreciation. And I give this exercise often to my clients, because I find so many people that beat themselves up about feeling broken, and they're not. But so what I find is, if they write down 5 things daily they love and appreciate about themselves, and for some that's very difficult. It's a difficult thing to do, especially if you're not feeling good about you. So you can write down 5 things you love and appreciate about yourself daily for 30 days. It will change your life. And I don't care if it's that you got out of bed this morning, or that you hydrated, or you meditated, or you took a walk in nature. I don't care what you write. It's the exercise of writing and amplifying that self-appreciation, because you cannot get what you won't give yourself.
wow. Give yourself 5 things every single day for the next 30 days and see if your life changes, because you
Yeah.
cannot get what you don't give yourself. You all caught that, right? Just saying. I hope you caught
just
that.
just a few truth bombs here.
I love that. And this whole entire episode has been full of a lot of really great juicy nuggets that you can sink your teeth into and start being your own life scientist. It's an experiment here, guys. It's an experiment. Be an alchemist. Be a life alchemist. Shift
Mm-hmm.
that lead of the ego to the gold of the spirit. That's what you're here to do. Do it. That's why we give you tools. Get out there. You can do it. So I love you all so very much. Please go and check out, get a hold of Karen, book your sessions, and we'll keep you posted right here on Spirituality Gone Wild when the classes are coming, so that we can all get ready to learn the accelerated healing formula and really get into um, another level. We're just leveling up. That's really what it is, Karen. We're all
Exactly.
just, yeah, and you're here to bring us to the next level, and that's what I'm really grateful
Yeah.
for. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. I'm so grateful to be here and so appreciative of you and the work you're doing here.
I appreciate you very much. And I am grateful for you tremendously. And you, Nicholas, for connecting Karen and I, because you went with your
Yes.
intuition. Thank you so much for going with your knowingness, because that was really super important.
Yeah.
So before I leave, I want to remind everybody we do have our brand new SGW Untamed Club. It's $22. You get all of our courses that are back there right now, and I suggest everybody start with Emotional Hygiene 101 and the Miracle Makers Club that we've got, because those two right there, and they are included for that, are back there. That also gives you one free class a month live with one of our instructors. So go check it out. And I love you all. Have a day full of positive momentum, gratitude moments. And Karen, wait right there, and we will see you all tomorrow. Bye.
Bye. Much love.